Hello friends, and welcome to the Joyful and Loved podcast. I'm Brittany, and it's good to have you here this week. I missed last week. Sometimes you just need a little bit of a break time, so we'll see schedule-wise how we'll progress from here, and I'll let you guys know a more steady schedule pattern as we continue. This was kind of just a fluke miss of a week due to a sudden illness. Thankfully, I'm feeling a lot better, so hopefully we can get back on track and just keep our discussions going. And so I'm going to start this week off with a question of what do you think of when I say the word balance? Do you think of gymnasts? Do you think of them standing on balance beams and doing flips and tricks in their sport? Or when I say balance, do you think balancing your checkbook? Do you think balancing life between career and kids and other family obligations and a social life? There's a lot of words that we try to associate with trying to find balance in our lives. And all of these pieces that we always try to fit into place. But everything that we try to find balance with, all of those pieces seem to come at a cost sometimes. They all have a different value to us. They all have different priorities to us. And I am not downplaying the priority of career or kids or your family or a social life. That is not what this is about. How do we find balance between all of these different places in a world that is so driven for perfectionism and putting 100% in absolutely every single one of those pieces, but specifically the career path or the route to success mixed with a successful family or the way that we show ourselves, the way other people perceive us to be? We have to seem perfect all the time without any flaws. So when I say balance, do you picture your own balance or do you picture others' expectations of what a balanced life should look like? I know for me, I often think of the expectations and the rules that seem to be involved in finding balance in your life. And that's such a sad thing to think about, that our lives have been so hounded on by so many outside forces and by circumstances that it causes us more anxiety to think about each of those pieces of our life, that we don't even think about the foundation of those pieces. And with each of those pieces, there's always room for growth in all those areas. And moving forward, a huge part of that is finding peace and balance in the midst of all of this chaos and all of these challenges in different areas of our lives and making priorities. But sometimes it feels like one area is taking priority over another. And sometimes that causes a great deal of anxiety and frustration. And like, what do we do with those feelings? What do we do to help prevent us from those anxious thoughts and that frustration when life is hitting us and when balance just doesn't seem to fit in the way that we've been taught that balance should look like? I know a lot of us, I know myself included, are driven by our planners or our schedules. And I'm one of those that I like a color-coded planner, and I'm very particular when I pick out my planner. And it's kind of like a New Year's Eve week tradition of me finding a new planner and organizing it and creating a new key in it and color coding different activities and different things. Like, that's something that I do, and so I hope I'm not alone in that. But one of the things of being a planner and driven on plans and to-do lists is that it causes me a lot of anxiety when that's unbalanced, or when there are changes, or when priorities change, and I have to move one thing to another place, or certain things just kind of fall through, or if there's a health situation and I'm not able to do the things that I want to be able to do, that I need to be able to do because I'm sick. And what do we do when all of that is chaos? And I've had to learn to teach myself grace in a new way. And grace with time. A lot of our balance is between time and money. And we struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with that. And what do we do? So, at what cost is our focus on each of these individual tasks or obligations or things, material things, or events or people in our lives? What we put at a priority, at what cost do we focus on these things? When we don't focus on the foundational things first or foremost. And you can always make a change, but without building a foundation or inspecting it every once in a while to make sure that there are no cracks, or if you do find something that's a little rocky, making repairs before it becomes a disaster and everything just falls apart. What do we do? What are the foundational pieces that need to be put into place in our lives to keep balance in our lives? And I've come to the conclusion that to have real balance, we have to have joy and we have to have love. And those might seem like simple things, because in theory, they are. In words, we can say them. It's easy to say. But joy and love are action words. Love is an action. To love something, you have to do something. Joy is doing something with gratitude, or doing things because it makes you happy, or because there's a knowledge that with joy and love at the basis of everything, at the root of everything, everything else will fall into place. And at that foundation, everything just seems to balance itself out. Joy, for instance. When you think of joy, we think of things that we liked when we were little. They're doing things that they love to do, and they're not afraid to do it. They dream big dreams. One day they want to be a ballerina, the next day they want to be a cop, the next day they want to be a pirate, the next day they want to be a ballerina again. The next day they want to be president, and then that afternoon they just want to eat cake. Joy. So, with joy, we need things in our lives that make us happy. And joy is not just happiness or the opposite of sadness or the opposite of grief. It's the feeling of being content or at peace in the midst of any storm, any situation, any circumstance, any struggle. You know you're going to be okay. You don't have to fear. It's the opposite of anxiety. When you're feeling joy, you're not afraid, you're brave, you do things, and you want to be around people that are safe and that make you feel safe, that make you feel like a kid again, that bring you excitement and just light up your face with a smile and laughter, and that's joy. It brings a peace to your heart. It's really hard to explain unless you've felt that before. So with joy, I want to talk about bucket lists. And for me, I don't like thinking about bucket lists as lists to make that you want to accomplish before you die. You can definitely think of it that way. But I want to think of it as if you had a bucket, you either have an empty bucket or you have a full bucket. And think of a bucket as what you can give to others. And you can't give to others unless you have a full bucket. Kindness, gentleness, serving others, being 100% at your job, being there for your kids the way you dream of being there for your kids, being there for your spouse and your family and your friends in a healthy way, taking care of your health, caring about your exercising and your food and doing all of those good things that your doctor tells you to do. And we need to balance that with our foundation of joy. So instead of being anxious about each individual thing, we need to find our foundation in things that will fill us up. And I'm not meaning superficial things that will fill us up. I'm not meaning materialistic things. I am not meaning go out and buy all of those shoes today. I am meaning true things that bring you peace, that make you feel safe. Or writing down things that you dream of doing. I have a few bucket lists that I keep. I have one that is specifically for travel dreams that I have, because I really want to travel a lot one day. And so there are places that I've read about, or places that I've seen on maps, or in TV shows or movies, and I will write down those things or those places along with the things that I want to do there, and the things that I want to see, and I'll write that down on my travel bucket list. So that's specifically for travel. So another one of my lists, of my bucket lists, is kind of my lifelong bucket list. They're just things in general that I want to accomplish in my life. That's kind of more of the stereotypical bucket list of what you think. Just things that you want to do. The next list is kind of a New Year's Eve tradition of mine, along with planners. But another tradition of mine is to make a year-long bucket list. And so those are things that I want to accomplish throughout the year. So like on my previous list, I would like to like go see glaciers. And then while I'm up there, while I can see glaciers, there's an area where you can see beluga whales in the wild. And I would love to do that. So that would be on one of my lists as well, maybe the travel list. And then there's some libraries I want to visit. There's one, I think it might be, if my memory serves me correct, it might be in South America, but I cannot remember. If you know, please let me know. I can probably leave it in the comment down below once I look it up. But I think it's in South America. But they turned like an old theater into a library, and it looks really cool to visit. So there's different bookstores that are really unique and different. And so I would like to go to some of those as well. Those are all on my travel bucket list. But then on my yearly bucket list, I have things like bake my own birthday cake and paint more. And there's like specific goals about painting or drawing. And then there are more broad goals for the year, and then there are more specific goals about like a broad goal is like reading a book a month for a year, so one book per month at least for an entire year. Then there are smaller goals. These are things that bring me joy, but can also help me to better spread love and joy to other people as well. And when I'm doing things that bring me joy, I can better serve others as well. You can't give on an empty bucket. But there are certain things that are just small things that we can, small changes that we can make on a daily or a yearly basis that can make huge differences in our lives, things that can bring us joy, like buy a small bag of chocolate and just treat yourself in small little ways that bring you joy. So the second root of, or our foundation, is love. And along with not being able to give or find balance in our areas of our priorities without joy, without having a full bucket, or a bucket that's being poured into as well, love also kind of falls into that. How do you receive love and how do you give love? That's really important for us to know about ourselves, and important to know about the people that we are around all the time, our family and our friends, even those who we work with, and especially those who are hardest to love. It's important to get to know how to take care of them in a better way, and show them kindness and compassion in a way that they might not be getting. But those that are hardest to love often need the most love. And we can be kind and compassionate without letting that be toxic. If it becomes toxic, that's a completely different thing. So be discerning about that, but still be kind and compassionate, and we can learn how to do that. I recommend reading Gary Chapman's book, Love Languages, or The 5 Love Languages. There's multiple different versions of that book. There's the original version, which is primarily focused for married couples, but anyone can read it. There's also a singles edition, which is good for teenagers and unmarried people, widows, widowers, divorced. And it talks about friendships as well. The way that he words things in each of those books is focused on loving yourself and loving others in very profound ways, based off of knowing how you receive love and how you give love. And everyone is so unique in that. A lot of us are lacking in how to receive love in a, I don't want to say a grateful way, or it's hard for us to receive love. It almost makes me, at least, it makes me feel guilty. I don't feel like I'm deserving of it. I don't know why that is. I don't know what causes me to, I don't know if you feel the same, but I don't know what causes that feeling of unease when people try to show kindness or compassion. Sharing those feelings of care, it's easier to give. It's easier to love others and show that others are deserving, and to pour into others. I think when you receive it yourself, it reminds you of how vulnerable you can be, and that need to share that vulnerability. And it opens up a place in you. And we all deal with brokenness. And there's something so powerful about sharing in that brokenness. And that's such a great form of love when someone is present with you in that, and can show you that you're cared about in the way that you feel the most need. So he says that the 5 love languages are quality time, words of affirmation, touch, gifts, and acts of service. I know my top 2 are tied at the top, and they're quality time and words of affirmation. And that's the way I feel like I receive love and I give love in spending time with people, and especially with conversation and presence, being present with people, not gifts, but just being present with people. Gifts are fine too, but for me, specifically quality time, just means a lot to me. It means that they are willing to give that time. It shows me their foundation of love, that I was worth that effort, that I was a priority to them, based on the foundation that they do love me and they want to take that time with me and to spend time with me and to have conversations with me that are meaningful, and not just superficial conversations. Another one is affirmations. I tend to more share that with others, and so when I see something, like when someone gets a haircut or when I see somebody doing a good job, I really want to make it a priority to share that with someone, that I appreciate them, that I notice something, that they put effort in, that I care about them, that that's the way that I express love a lot. And so that's an example from my own life, from my top love languages. I know people in my family that are very active service based, and that's their love language. That's their primary love language. I know some people in my life that their love language is gifts, and they seem to know exactly what gift to give a person, exactly the moment that they need it the most. And it amazes me every single time when they give that, and you can just feel the love from that gift. So with these foundations of joy and love at the center, it connects and webs into all of the other areas of your life. When you think about your family through the lens of love and joy, you notice things different. You notice each person different. Their hearts may be open to you. Their minds, the way they think. You may want to learn about what makes them feel loved, what makes them feel cared about. Your social connections around you will be different and grow and strengthen. All of these different areas are bound together with the focus and the foundation of love and joy. And it's not a selfish love and joy. It's not out of need to gain. It's not the need for more. It's not the need to achieve. It's not the need to people please. It's not the need to be better than someone else. It's not the need for society to see you and to accept you. It's not the need for your family to accept you. It's who you are as a person and what brings you safety and peace when everything else might feel like chaos at the moment. When everything else around you might fall apart and you're just at the basics of things. And you're starting from scratch. And you're finding balance again. What's there? What is remaining? What is your foundation? Because you can have it all in balance and be perfect at it. But if you have a rocky foundation, one pebble can wipe all of that out in an instant, and you will not know what to do. We have to support one another and care about one another and care about where we are and how we do certain things and where our focus and our priorities are. Because if we keep thinking like how everybody else thinks, and if we keep thinking selfishly, and we keep trying to focus on how things can get better and more and driven, and like, we lose sight of what really matters. I don't want my life to be about all of the material things I have gained. I don't want it to be about the successes and how proud everyone was of me because of superficial things that don't matter. All I care about is how I cared about other people. And the things that made people feel better when they were hurting, and bringing joy and love, because I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like when things fall apart. And I want to talk about real things. I don't want to just talk about empty, superficial things. This is real. It matters. And you matter. And you're loved. We need to have a firm foundation, to have a healthy focus, and to have healthy priorities. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're doing. This is for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO at the top of your game, or if you're a homeless person struggling. You matter. You have goals. You have dreams. You have priorities. And you deserve to feel safe, and you deserve to feel loved so you can love others as well. So that's what this is all about. How can you better love people this week? What can you do? What are some of the things that would be on your bucket list? What would be some of the things that bring you joy that you haven't thought about in a while, or that you're just now starting to think about and plan and hope for one day, or maybe next week I want to volunteer here, or one day I want to be able to speak here, or one day I want to travel here and do this. What are those things? What are your goals? What are the things that bring you joy? What are the things that you can pull into from your foundations into your focuses for your balance? You need to drink more water for your health. Like, you can take the things that would bring you joy and add them to the things that might help you find community where you are. If you remember some of the things that bring you joy, or you think of new ways that you might maybe art. You can take art classes or a dance class or try something new, meet some new people, become a regular at a coffee shop in your town. So find ways that you can try new things. And we talked about sunshine lists as well as one of our things that we do here. And so that's something that we do for somebody else, or that someone has done something for you that shows kindness and gentleness and love and joy. So this week I really want us to focus on that. I want us to focus on how to better love others and how to better love ourselves, and work on those foundations so every other area of our life can find balance. So if there's something this week that has brought you joy, or I want you to tag us about it in a story on either Facebook or Instagram. Use the hashtag Sunshine List and use the hashtag The Joyful and Loved Podcast. And we hope to hear from you. We hope to see some of the things that you've done, and comment down below. Talk to us ask us questions, leave comments about some things that you would like to talk about, ideas that you have, and I hope to continue growing and trying new things alongside of you. I recently finished a crossword search. I finished an entire book within a couple days, within a week, which wasn't really one of my bucket list items, but it was now. And it was from years before I was born. So there were things on it that I had no idea about. So that was interesting to try to figure out. But it kind of brought me joy because some of them made me laugh. So I had found that, and so it just, it was just kind of fun, and I realized that I really like those kind of things. I like puzzles and things like those. Those are things that bring me joy. So I will be including a emoji of a sunflower down below because something brought me joy this week. And I wanted to share that with you. I haven't done puzzles or anything like that in a really long time. And it reminded me of my grandmother. So, that brought me a lot of joy. So share things like that. And let's support one another. If you have any encouraging words, or quotes, or Bible verses, maybe you're memorizing a Bible verse and you would like to share it, comment that down below as well. We'd love to hear about it, and share that with everybody. And if you have a prayer request or a praise that you would like us to pray over or celebrate with you, you can always email us at the joyfulandlovedprayerline@gmail.com. So there's a link to that down below in the description. And I am looking forward to talking to you again next week. And until then, I just hope you have a wonderful week full of love and full of joy, and in this time of moving forward in your life. So I will talk to you next week. Bye.